everyone. This is a very empty crowd. Okay, well, hello everybody. It is great to have you all here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome to Wednesday. I've already said that 3 times, but it's okay. I'm going to make my normal announcement. Us in the praise team, we're always looking for new members, vocalists, instrumentalists, you name it. We'd be glad to have you. Just talk to us or Justin. We'll send you to Justin. Good. Talk to Justin. But Neil has an announcement of his own.
All right, June 25th, Wildfire will be at the Gardendale Civic Center at 7 p.m. It's a free Christian concert. I will be in it. Jonah Ross will be in it. Several other local Christian musicians. So be there.
Be there, be square, folks. Okay, so I'm going to pray us into worship, and then we will get started. Lord, I thank you for this night you've given us to gather in your house and worship you and praise your name. I pray that you would be with us as we go into this evening, keep us safe, and open our ears and our hearts to hear what you have to say to us tonight. In your name, amen.
Stand and worship with us.
Still I'll be singing. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. All right, we've got notes. We're passing those around right now. Now, my notes don't line up exactly like those notes, but they're pretty close. So what I would like to do is try to fill in as many blanks as you can. And if you can't fill in the blanks, oops, sorry. That's on me because the way I put the lesson together. I mean, I was aware of the notes, but I didn't do everything exactly the way I was supposed to. But I think you'll get an idea of what's going on. Now, here's what I would love for somebody to do. If you would please, somebody that has a watch on or has their phone with them, at about 20 minutes till, raise your hand or wave at me so I'll know it's time for me to wrap up. Okay, Lori, you want to do that for me? Okay, so, but if I'm not looking at you when you do it, just kind of, yeah, that'll work. Okay. Anyway, in case there's a few newer faces in here, I'm Lynn. I'm usually the guy that sits back there and tries my best to be quiet and not interfere with things. But this is really a very cool lesson. It's about creation, and I think maybe some of you have heard this before. I don't. I believe in science. I don't believe in fairy tales. I live by facts, not by faith. Science will fly you to the moon, but religion flies you into buildings. Okay, and I figure a lot of you you may have heard stuff like that, but what happens is, and unfortunately, Christians get painted as uneducated, ignorant, backwards, dangerous, because we supposedly, hear what I said, supposedly reject modern science, but that's really not true. Modern science will indeed support Christianity. We just have to look at it in such a way. It's absolutely, really the furthest thing from the truth. God created this entire universe. He created each and every one of us. In fact, the more we discover about our natural world and the more we discover about the universe, the more we realize that Psalms 19, 1 and 2 is true. It reads, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours out speech, and night to night reveals knowledge." The thing is there's evidence of a designer. There's an evidence of designer in the smallest DNA strand up to this incredible, crazy, vast universe. We have just countless galaxies. So what we want to do is consider 3 scientific findings that confirm the existence of a creator. Now, I'm going to tell you what I'll do is I'll refer back to my notes as much as I can to make sure that you get I know we got note takers in here, and to make sure that we get as many blanks filled in as we possibly can, okay? The very first one we're going to talk about is cosmology. Now, the cosmology is the study of big things, the cosmos, the universe. But before we see how the cosmos points to the existence of God, let's talk about something called logical syllogism. Okay, this is the way it works. 1, men are mortal. 2, Socrates is man. 3, therefore, Socrates is mortal. I assume he was moral as well. So seems pretty simple. If all men are mortal and Socrates is the man, then he must be mortal, right? So this conclusion it just follows itself along down the lines. So we can use the same syllogism and use it in an argument about the existence of God. It's called the cosmological argument. And it goes like this. That should have been a blank, I think. 1, whatever begins to exist has a cause. 2, sorry. I forgot to turn it off. 2, the universe began to exist. And then 3, therefore, the universe has a cause. Okay? So it's very simple. But it's also very powerful. So let's look at both premises of the argument and see if the conclusion logically follows. Number 1, whatever begins to exist has a cause. Now, this statement, guys, really should be very obvious. Things don't just come into existence just for no reason. We can look at it like this. If things just appeared automatically, go ahead and swap that over to where it's where I showed you to click on transition. And what that'll do is the people at home can see. They may not want to see me, but that's what that helps them do. Okay, cool. That's not what we need then. Okay, so if things just happen automatically, think about it. If things just happen automatically, then why isn't there a new car sitting in my driveway? Why isn't there thousands of dollars magically appearing in y'all's wallets? I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that friend of yours that just has really rotten breath, there was a cause for that really rotten breath, you know? Maybe they didn't brush their teeth. I don't know. But you see, that's how the universe works. There's cause and effect in everything that goes on. So in order to get that car in your driveway, you know what we got to do? We got to go to the dealership, cause that's where we got to go buy it, right? Okay, so that's kind of the way it works. Now let's look at the second premise. The universe began to exist. According to modern cosmology, that's not modern cosmetology, but cosmology, the universe has not been here forever, but it came into existence at some time in the past. We're not going to argue, you know, timing and the age of the universe and all that kind of stuff. We're not here to do that. But there are good reasons to think that this is true science and philosophy. We're going to start with scientific evidence. Big Bang cosmology. Scientists, in the early 20th centuries, the scientists discovered that the universe was expanding. The stars, planets, entire galaxies were moving away from each other in every direction, as if they came from an explosion, okay? So if you had an ability to press the rewind button, it would all come back together. And what you would witness is the entire universe collapsing into itself. And then you would reach the very first moment in time. Before that, there literally was no space, time, or matter. And we wouldn't even really be able to use the word before. I mean, technically, in this instance, that's incorrect as well. From that moment, if you pushed play, you would witness the entire universe exploding into existence, and that's what's known as the Big Bang. Okay? Now, second law of thermodynamics. A second piece of evidence the universe began to exist is the second law of thermodynamics, which says that the universe is running out of usable energy. When I first read this, I went, I need to stop and talk to you guys really super quick about that. I don't think it's something we got to worry about. I don't think it's something you got to worry about. Probably not something your kids, grandkids, or their grandkids' grandkids is going to have to worry about it. But it actually is moving in that direction. And that basically what that says, once it does, the universe will be cold and lifeless. And this is known as heat death of the universe. To understand this, think of a car with gas it's still in the tank. You take a car, full tank of gas, set it in the driveway, you crank it, and you walk away from it. It's going to run. It may run a day, it may run a week, it may run a month, I don't know. You know, it could run a year. But it's eventually going to run out of gas. Now, if the universe did not have a beginning, meaning it has been here forever, then it probably at this point should have already run out of that proverbial gas that I was talking about, or energy. In fact, it would have run out a long time ago, before we ever came into being. But since the universe still has usable energy, like the car with the gas tank still in the tank, it must have had a beginning at some point in the past. Okay? So, again, don't be panicking here about everything we're saying. But if you really listen to what I'm saying, it all makes lots of really good sense. Okay, so let's go with the philosophical evidence. So we've seen two pieces of scientific evidence that the universe began to exist, and there's also good philosophical arguments. So, infinite regress. Okay, this is going to get deep quick, so hang on to your hats. All right. I don't know if anybody, well, no, I know that nobody here has successfully counted to infinity. Maybe when you were younger at some point you tried to count to infinity, but eventually you didn't make it, okay? And that's because infinity isn't actually a number that you just can't count to. It just means that there is absolutely no last number. There's nothing, I mean, you can't, I've heard comparisons of a line of numbers in a mile and different things like that, and there's no comparison. In fact, I don't think our brain can truly hold on to infinity. So it's just impossible to account to infinity. Now, the same way that you cannot count forward to positive infinity, neither can you count backwards to negative infinity. And that is what's known as infinite regress, okay? You can keep going backwards forever and ever and never reach a first number since no number could exist, okay? I told you, it's getting deep, and it's about to get deeper, okay? So what does this crazy infinity talk have to do with the beginning of the universe? Imagine a line of dominoes, okay? And y'all have seen the dominoes, and you've lined them up before, or cereal boxes or whatever, and you push the first one over. It knocks the second one down, which knocks the third one down, and it continues until it knocks the very last one down. And it just keeps going. And now imagine that you're at the infinity long line of dominoes. Like I said, it's getting deep. Let's work backwards. Before you can knock the last one down, you would have to knock the one before that one, and the one before that one, and then you would have to do the next one, and you would have to keep doing that. You could keep going back forever, but never reach the first one since the line is infinite. And if you can't get to the first domino, you obviously can't knock it down and begin the chain reaction to eventually topple that last domino. I had to read that because that was too much for me to try and translate to you guys. Now, let every domino represent a period of time. Let's say a day. Before today, the last domino could arrive, yesterday must have occurred. And before yesterday could pass, the day before had to have happened. The same way you could never topple the final domino in an infinitely long line. We're an infinite number of days behind us. So today would never have arrived, yet here we are. And I'm going to have to read this again. Therefore, there must have been a first moment of time, an original domino to be pushed over that set the rest in motion. Thus, the problem of infinite regress shows that the universe cannot be past infinite. The universe must have begun to exist. That's tough. I don't know if y'all's brain's just going crazy on you, but mine is. This lesson has really challenged me to stop and think. And I challenge you to do the same thing. Now we have solid scientific and philosophical reasons to begin the universe, to believe that the universe came into existence at some finite point in the past. So this leads us to our conclusion. Therefore, this is number 3, I think, on your list. Therefore, the universe has a cause. Now this is where you get to kind of taking a deep breath and realizing that, yeah, this is all going to be cool. All right. Now let's see what the cause of the universe could be like. it had to be something that was very powerful to bring the entire universe into existence. It would have had to been very smart as well. It couldn't be made up of any of the stuff of the universe. Think about this. It couldn't have been made up of any of the stuff of the universe because there was nothing. Okay? There was nothing. It had to come from somewhere. Okay? So it must be non-physical. Time began at the first moment of creation. So the cause of the universe would be timeless. Also, this cause must be personal to choose to bring the universe into existence. So here's the remarkable conclusion on all of this. This cause is extremely powerful, super smart, immaterial, timeless, and personal. Who does that sound like? Sounds like God, right? Everything that began to exist needs a cause for its existence. And the best explanation for the beginning of the universe is God. Y'all didn't think I was going to get there, did you? So, of course, the argument doesn't take us, it doesn't take us all the way to God in the Bible. We would have to go a lot deeper to get there. But even atheism, they have no sufficient cause for the origin of the universe. But this does mark up with Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created. After all, if there is a beginning to the universe, there must be a beginner. Okay? Now let's look at the second scientific argument for God's existence. Fine-tuning. Now this is where it gets kind of cool, and this is actually where you guys can, if you run into arguments with people, this is where it can get interesting. Okay? Fine-tuning. So imagine this. You're in the mountains. You've been hiking, okay? And you walk up on a cabin. You step into the cabin, and the temperature is perfect. The refrigerator is full of your favorite drink. It has your favorite video games over on this wall. It has your favorite books over on this wall. Your favorite music is playing in the background. So what conclusion are you going to draw? Is it just random that there's a cabin out there in the middle of nowhere and you just happen to walk up on it and it happened to be all of your favorite stuff? No, it had to have been prepared in advance. Think about it. And it had to be prepared with you in mind. So similarly, the laws of nature appear to be prepared with humans in mind. And who would have done that for us? God. Okay, now in the 20th century, and here's the deal. A lot of the stuff that we fight with and argue with is based from, I'll get to the dates and on that in just a minute, but a lot of the stuff that we hear people argue with us about were based back in the 1800s, okay? So in the 20th century, scientists discovered the existence of multiple physical laws, okay? And these physical laws, each has to be just exactly right to exist in this universe. Now, these laws can be written into mathematical equations, and there have to be certain values in these equations that are fixed. These are constants. Those of you math people know exactly what we're talking about here. The values of these constants are so delicate that if they were off by the tiniest amount, life would not be possible in this universe. Okay, so this is what is known, or what we're talking about in fine-tuning the universe. Let's look at one example and we'll move on. Gravity. Think about it. We had that gravitational constant. We had an explosion right in the beginning, and if gravity had not been just perfect, the stars and planets would not have stopped where they are. Okay? And we would not have been able to exist. Or, if the gravity had been just a little bit too much, they would have never exploded out and away from us, and we wouldn't have been able to exist. So that is a constant that has to be in place. So when people start talking about the Big Bang and how it just randomly happened, somebody had to be in control of it, guys. Somebody somewhere had to be in control of it. Think about it. Okay. So there are three possible explanations for fine tuning: necessity, chance, or design. So in necessity, did the constants of nature absolutely have to be the values they are? There is no reason to think so. The constants could have been different. And if so, the laws of nature would be different as well, which would make complex life impossible. I just talked about that a little bit. Chance, number two. So what if we're just incredibly lucky? Okay, it all happened by chance. Lightning flash, boom. Primordial ooze, boom. And out comes whatever they're saying comes out of the primordial ooze. Think about it like this, guys. You got an ocean full of trillions upon trillions of blue marbles. And there's one red marble in that ocean of trillions of marbles. The likelihood of you reaching in randomly with your eyes closed and grabbing that one marble is impossible. It's just improbable, okay? It's just not going to happen by chance. And then finally, number three, design. If we rule out necessity and chance, then design is the only option that we have left. The universe is fine-tuned for life. A divine intellect designed it that way. God set the natural constants to permanent life in his universe. In other words, the fine-tuning of the universe, the best points to the existence of it points to a fine tuner. Okay? That word was kind of weird, and I had to practice even saying it. But it points to the existence of a fine tuner. All right, so we've determined that we have a beginning. We have a person that is a fine tuner. We have our God. Objections. Okay, so we're going to deal with objections. But here's the deal, guys. You don't need to fear objections. They're going to happen, and that's okay. If you're prepared, you're going to be okay. You're here tonight. You're preparing. Okay? The interesting thing is you don't have to be able to win every argument. But what you want to do is treat other people like Jesus would by loving them and not fearing them. Okay? Speak the truth with gentleness and respect. And you don't need to be ready for a verbal fist fight. One of my favorite things is I don't know the answer to that question, but if you'll give me an opportunity to come back and talk to you again, I'll have it for you. Okay, and I think you probably have even heard Justin refer to that as well. So what you want to do is if you can't answer the question, say, let me get back to you. Now here's a lot of you, I mean, you're in different parts of high school, sophomore, junior, senior, 8th grade, 9th grade, 6th grade, whatever grade you're in. But as time goes by, it's going to get where people will get in your face more. You're about to experience it big time. I went to a Church of Christ, I went to a Christian college and had people try to challenge me on my faith at a Christian college. So it will happen, y'all. Just be ready. Just be ready. Just be prepared. Okay, now, there are two popular objections to the fine-tuning argument. Okay, here we go with another big word. Anthropic principle. The word anthropic comes from the Greek word anthropos, which relates to human beings. The anthropic principle states that we shouldn't be surprised that we live in a finely tuned universe. If we weren't finely tuned, we wouldn't be here to observe it. However, this still doesn't explain why the universe is fine-tuned for our existence. And I laugh at that because I take that for granted, that God has worked this out for me, okay? And I'm saying me, but for us, you know, and it's one of those kind of deals where I really do. I take that for granted, and I shouldn't. All right, so imagine this. There's a man who is sent to be executed by firing squad. They line him up. He hears the command to fire. He hears the gun shoot. And then he realizes he's completely unhurt. So what should he say? Well, I shouldn't be surprised that all the bullets missed me, because if they didn't, I wouldn't be here to be surprised. Or he probably wouldn't think that. He would think those guns, maybe they were loaded with blanks, they were bad shots, or maybe they just missed on purpose. Either way, he was intentionally kept alive, and there must be an explanation. The same is true for the fine-tuning of the universe. We are all alive for a very specific reason, and it all has to do with the fine-tuning. Now, objection 2. This is interesting. If you're a sci-fi person, this is going to get really interesting. Objection 2, multiverse theory. Okay? Now, that's this, far from being just science fiction, some appeal to the multiverse theory to explain away fine-tuning. On this theory, the huge number, and some would say are infinite, of universes makes the likelihood of one being fine-tuned expected. We just happen to be living in one of those multiple universes. Now, 2 quick responses can be given to this. First, the evidence for a multiverse is lacking. Okay, it's not there. This is scientific. This is science fiction. It's sci-fi. Okay, this is in comic books and stuff like that. But it's just not there. It's speculative. Okay, and then second, and perhaps even more important, a multiverse would not rule out intelligent design. Let that sink in. Okay, if he's going to design one universe, why wouldn't he design the multiverse that we talk about here? Okay, we got shows on where people traveling through the multiverses and everything, and they get from here to there in just a minute and all that kind of stuff. Y'all have seen the shows, you know what I'm talking about. But what this does, it just further solidifies what we're saying about that divine deity that goes out there and creates all of this. So essentially, the multiverse theory just pushes the design up another level. So think about it this way. If you wanted to know how a car was designed, would it be sufficient to point to a factory? No, not really. A factory helps with the explanation, true, but we need an explanation for the design of the factory as well as the design of the car. So the same thing is going to be true for the multiverse. So it doesn't explain the design away, it merely pushes it up to the next level. Pretty cool, huh? Like I said, this studying this lesson has just blew my mind. So the best explanation for fine-tuning of our universe is there is a God who designed this universe perfectly with us in mind. Again, fine-tuning of the universe best points to the existence of a fine-tuner. Okay, that was, like I said, had to practice that a little bit. So let's move to DNA. We're going to kind of start wrapping it up here. So we're getting close. Got a minute. So if I can get this done in about 3 or 4 minutes, we'll move on. All right. Let's go from the big picture to the itty-bitty teeny-weeny picture, DNA. When Darwin first proposed his theory of evolution, scientists completely underestimated the complexity of life. Guys, Darwin was born in 1802, and he died in 1882. They had no clue what was going on with the human body back then. Yet he came up with these theories about like I said, the evolution and all that kind of stuff that I don't have time to go into. There has been so much additional information found out about DNA. DNA is the very machinery that runs who you are. The DNA, okay, in a single cell of a DNA. So we have DNA microscopic, and then even smaller than the strand of DNA is a cell. And in that cell, the information in that cell can fill 8,000 books. That's a lot of information. Do you think that just, boom, flash of lightning, primordial ooze, and then people started popping out of it. It's not the way that works. Can't be. So, whenever we see information, we can always trace it back to a mind, to a creator, okay? A good example here was if you see John loves Mary on the sand next to the ocean, what do you automatically think? Well, the tide washed those words up there, didn't it? No, it didn't. There was a creator, okay? Social media post has to be a creator. Books, there has to be authors. Text, somebody has to create the text. They don't just automatically happen, even like the robotext. Somebody created that somewhere, okay? So there is creators. So even the staunchest atheist, the atheist that screams the loudest against God, has to admit that there is no natural explanation for the origin of information in DNA. And yet we know that information comes from a mind. So isn't the existence of a designer the most reasonable explanation for the exquisite design we see in DNA? Simply put, the information in DNA points to the existence of an author of life. So, in conclusion, there are three powerful arguments. These are just some of the powerful arguments for Creator. Guys, there's a lot more. This is just a little bit. So, science is not against faith, but when done properly, it confirms it. And this matters for how we view ourselves as part of God's creation. In Psalms 8, 3 and 4, King David reflects on the wonder of God's concern for mankind in light of creation. He says, "When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon of the stars, which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him?" So, given the vastness and complexity of the universe, David was in awe that even God even cares about mankind. But he does. And then David continues in Psalms 139:14, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." So what does all this mean? You are not some kind of grand cosmic accident. Nobody is. It's not some blind evolutionary process. God designed the universe with us in mind and created you with great care. Your life has value, it has purpose, and the world we inhabit claims that our value comes from money, fame, influence, and appearance. But God has a different standard. Human value comes from the fact that we are made in the image of a perfectly good and all-knowing Creator. Never feel worthless. There is never a reason for you to feel worthless. When you walk out the door, look up in the sky, look at the stars. Tomorrow, look at the trees. All this stuff was created, and it was created for you. It was created for us. And like I said, you should never, ever feel worthless in anything that you do. I apologize for reading some of this, but I wanted to make sure I got as much of the notes in as I could. So that's the reason I had it prepared a different way, and I kind of went in a different direction, just because I wanted to make sure that y'all got everything, got your notes filled out. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pray, and then Justin said the girls, is going to take care of the games. That'll give me a chance to get back in the back and figure those slides out real quick. I got so involved in everything else, I forgot to check the slides. Anyway, I've had a lot of help from Miss Kendall and Mr. Jason back in the back. But I appreciate y'all allowing me to sit here tonight with you guys. Just continue to be in prayer for our church, looking for a minister of music. Please pray about joining the praise team. These guys have a good time, and I believe that you guys would enjoy it. And the thing is it's like, well, I can't do so and so, and I can't do so and so, but you can be taught. Okay, we have guys that are more than willing to teach you, so don't let that worry you either. Playing instruments, you can be taught to play instruments and stuff like that. Sometimes it just takes a little time. So be in prayer about that as too, okay? So, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pray, and we'll get Miss Danielle to come up, and I guess you probably won't even have to really have a microphone, I don't think, but if you want to grab one, you can, and then we'll go from there, okay? So if you would, everyone, please bow your heads, close your eyes. Everybody's eyes are closed. Mine are open to make sure yours are closed. Our most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all that you've done. We thank you for this day and for the blessings of this day. We thank you for these folks that have come out tonight. We thank you for these students that are here as well. Please continue to be with our church in everything that we do and everything that we say. And above all else, Lord, thy will be done. Amen. All right. Take her away. Oh, it's already set up. Good.
Okay. Oh, so everyone's gonna stand up, right?
Everybody, let's give Danielle a hand for bucking it through that one. Very good. All right. We have one or two announcements, and we'll wrap things up here. So we're actually going to... Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something.
All right, we're rebranding the youth group, and so we need a new name. So let's do some rapid fire brainstorming, okay? All right? So let's think of names that have to do with fire.
Yeah.
Like Ignite,
Ablaze.
Enfuego,
Fireproof.
Inferno.
Soulfire.
Oh, those are good. Let's keep them coming. Let's think of something maybe like, what about names that have to do with nature?
Ooh, I got it. The Rock.
Yes, what about Rooted?
The Vine.
The Road.
Water.
Living Water.
Holy Living Water.
Youthquake.
Storm Chasers.
I think we're on the right track. Let's go with verbs.
Yes. Rise.
Elevate.
Rebel.
Jump.
Glow.
Focus.
U-turn.
Those are good, but I'm thinking one word just isn't enough, you know?
What about an acronym?
Oh, you're a genius.
Yeah. All right. UFC. Ultimate Faith Challenge.
Chaos. Crazy and otherwise safe.
LOL. Living Out Loud.
OMG. Obeying my God.
Blast. Building lives around sound truth.
AIM. Average Youth Ministry.
CIA. Christians in action.
Swag. Save with amazing grace.
Authentic. Sinner saved.
Yeah, whoa. Yeah.
Wait, what did I say?
You.
Oh, because it's spelled.
Well, hold up.
Yeah. I mean, it is in the Bible. King James. Yeah. How about explosion?
I don't know.
We could spell it with an X.
Now you're talking.
All right.
Explosion. This is definitely the most important part of youth ministry. Coming up with a name. Kids love it.
I agree.
If you name it, they will come.
Field of Dreams.
Titanic.
Shrek 2.
Billy
I
Zane
think.
from Titanic said that.
He didn't play Jack.
Billy Zane did play Jack.
Being Leo?
Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah, okay, sure.
No.
He's not an actor, he's a
Da
musician.
Vinci was an emperor of Rome.
How's your mom?
I don't have a mom.
That's good.
That's a weird thing to say.
If you would, and I know that everybody's turned in that direction, but I'll go ahead and kind of dismiss from back here. In case you didn't notice, I was kind of limping coming up there, so I've had a little trouble. But let's do this. We've got the Six Flags trip coming up. That's on the 17th. You need to make sure that you're registered for that. Scan the QR code, or make sure that Justin knows. It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, I know 7 a.m. is early, but you got to remember we go through a time change to get over there. And with that said, if there's not any additional announcements, I'm going to dismiss us in a word of prayer, and we'll actually get out about 3 minutes early tonight, if that's okay with y'all. If not, I'll keep talking. Is that okay with y'all? Oh, okay, I'll keep talking then. Okay, all right, let me dismiss us. Holy God, thank you so much again for this day, for the blessings, for all that you've done. Just be with this group, with everything that they have going on this summer, whether it's sports or just whatever it might be, God. We just ask that you be with them, be with our church and all that we have going on. And again, we thank you and we love you. And above all else, Lord, thy will be done. Amen. And y'all.